All right, so come to a comfortable seat. It can be on a lift like this. So I have a few blankets here. You can sit on a chair if a chair is more comfortable. I have a few props standing by. I never really know exactly where we'll go, but I do have a chair. I have a strap and my alternative for a strap, the scarf. You can't see Mateo's mat right now, but he has a towel there. He likes to use the towel. And I have some blocks. And of course, you can use books instead of blocks. That's fine. But I didn't bring the books up. But we will. First, we need to start sitting. Okay.
Let's start with this pose.
Well, first we need to sit and transition. So this is transition, Mateo. So this is important because we get caught up and often there's a wanting to race into the pose, right? And even Mateo's showing that now. And honestly, sometimes when I'm just practicing by myself, sometimes I don't do the transition. And it's always the worst practice when I don't sit for a few moments and do the transition. When I take this time to just stop, to sit, to feel, and to allow myself to bring my mind from that outer world and we have things to get done to that inner world where we can just be here. That's when life begins to change. So I want to give you permission to make that transition before our class today or as the beginning of our class today. So however you're sitting, be cross-legged like this. You can sit on your heels too, like we do sometimes in a chair, and just begin to feel your sit bones. Start by feeling the unevenness of the sit bones. And then see if you can make that pressure on your sit bones more even. Then begin to feel your legs. Is there a gripping? For me, there's always a gripping here. Unless I consciously begin to release it, I have this gripping here. So I gently lengthen and release from the inner thigh to the inner knee. And lengthen, continue the lengthening from the upper inner thighs towards the abdomen. So this whole area is lengthening. Without struggle, it's different than forcing the knees down. It's an opening and a letting go. But I do want to create a sturdiness in the base. So I do draw the outer knees to the outer hips and compact the hips together. And when I do that, and I'm not doing it too mindfully, when I just go, okay, let's grip the hips, I regrip the inner thighs. So then it's time to really play with this. So how can I create this firm base and a lengthening of the inner thighs at the same time? And then this is the most important part. Observe the effects of those actions. Not just in the legs. Obviously, we did things with the legs. But what happened in the abdomen? What happened in the torso? What happened to the breath? Did the breath change? What happened to the mind and the thoughts? And try not to get caught up with good or bad. I was speaking to someone after class the other day, one of the other classes, and we'd done a particular pose differently. And the student was trying to figure out whether it was better or which one was better or worse, good or bad, which one they liked better. And I want to encourage you to not always look at, is this a better way to do it or a worse way to do it, but instead focus on different. There are many ways to do the same pose, even this sitting pose, you know. If you take some of the other classes, you see the way Anne teaches it, she teaches it many different ways. The other teachers, everyone teaches it a different way. So instead of getting caught up with, I like this better, or I don't like this as much? Can you begin to simply notice differences in the effects that are taking place today without comparison to what happened yesterday or the day before? And I encourage you to take that throughout the class and even throughout your day and days. So coming back to the legs, are you still compacting the hips? Are you still lengthening the inner thighs, releasing the inner thighs? Keeping the front bottom ribs moving towards the back body, can you lengthen from your hips to your armpits without lifting the shoulders? And now instead of lengthening in one great big lift, can you break it up? Lengthen from your hips to your bottom ribs. Just that waist. And can you lengthen from the bottom ribs to the ribs above that? And from those ribs to the ones above that? And begin to encourage these micro movements until you're all the way up to the top. Some of you may notice that if you lengthen in this way, the shoulders begin to drop by themselves. Of course, there's always more for them to go. So you can drop your shoulders, certainly. But if you get that lift of the side ribs and chest, and what B.K. Iyengar talks about, this armpit chest area, but not just that hard lifting, that doesn't do it, but really creating space in that area, the shoulders begin to ease and release. Those trapezius muscles begin to ease and release. Now let your elbows, shoulders become heavy. The elbows draw towards the ground. Keep your elbows where they are. Take your palms together. Touch your palms evenly left to right, right to left. Ensure that you're not leaning back, that you haven't begun to lean back. Close your eyelids from top to bottom. Draw your eyes back and down to gaze at the seat of your heart, the seat of your soul. Give yourself permission to drop your awareness into your body, to be here now. And notice the effects. Just these small actions you've taken at the beginning of class. Notice the effects in the body. Notice the effects in the mind. Notice the effects in the breath. And for those that were here on Tuesday, and if you weren't, that's totally fine. But for those that were here, we spoke about the observer observing the person doing the pose. And then we spoke about the observer observing the observer, the seer observing the observer. So as you observe, perhaps you take another step back and observe the observer. And let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. Lifting your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Releasing your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. Still taking a moment to observe, noticing the effects, Effects of the ohms, effects of being here and now. And then observing the observer. With your eyes closed, raise your head. Gently let your eyelids open. All right, let's come up to standing. Looks like Mateo's outside now and with his blankets out of the way. So come up into Tadasana. Feet together, feet hip distance apart, or is a little better for you. That's totally fine. And again, I want to encourage you to not just race to changes and not to judge good and bad, but to notice. So I stand up and I'm wobbly. No balance on the feet. Kind of rocks back and forth a little bit. Feel my whole body moving. Not quite like a mountain, right? Tadasana is mountain pose. It's supposed to be sturdy like a mountain. So I noticed that first. Can you notice what condition you're in? Without the judging of good or bad, just noticing today. And then seeking to bring that stability. All right, so press into the feet. Press into the ball of the big toe, the center heel, and the outer foot bone. The outer foot bone is about halfway between the pinky toe and the outer heel. You press into those points in both feet evenly and find a sense of grounding. Work of the legs. Press the thighs back. Lengthen from the inner knees to the inner groins. Lift from the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips together. As you lift up through the side ribs, extend through the arms. Don't forget those bottom ribs. Draw those bottom ribs in. And the same thing we did when we were sitting. So we talk about lifting through the side ribs, lengthening between your hips and your armpits. So you can do that long lift, but then can you separate it from the hips to the bottom ribs to the ribs above there? Don't let those ribs pop out. From the second bottom ribs, lengthen in between the next set and the next set and the next set and all the way up. And taking a moment to notice, how does this affect the breath? Now when we go into Urdhva, we'll take the arms out to the side. Don't just lift your hands, but push your arms up from underneath. So as if someone is pushing from right under here, where that armpit area, the armpit, upper arm area, push your arms up. The front ribs still tend to pop forward, so so draw the front bottom ribs to the back body, thighs back, ribs in, drop the shoulders, and you're holding your arms up from your armpits. From your armpits, begin to turn the arms up. Turn those arms up. Drop the shoulders. And again, from your armpits, push your arms up. Oh, there's the chandelier. We'll walk forward a little bit. There we go. Can you go back to the base? Root yourself through those 6 points, the balls of the big toes, center heels, outer foot bones evenly. Press the thighs back. Lifting, outer knees to outer hips as you compact the hips together, and then that lifting and lengthening, inner knees to the top, through the inner groins, through the abdomen. Lengthen through the side ribs. Each and every one. And then open the angle of the armpits. So open your armpits. Open armpits are happy armpits. And yes, you can scream it out loud even though we can't hear you. Right in class, everyone yells that. And extend through the arms as the shoulders go down. Straighten those elbows. And take a moment to observe. Be here. And if you can, observe the observer. Turn your hands out to the side. Exhale, come down. Interlace your fingers together. Right first finger on top. Before you take your arms up, I'm going to have to step back here. I want you to take the hands on the back of your head. So you're turning the palms around, so the back of your hand is on the back of your head, your palms face up. Now you have to still go into the feet, so press through the feet, those 6 points. Thighs back, establish the legs, lengthen through the inner thighs, draw the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. Those front bottom ribs have to move to the back body. Now take the elbows back. I see how when you take the elbows back, so instead of being here, you want to take those elbows back. When the elbows go back, the ribs puff forward, right? So draw the ribs in. Take the elbows back, and draw the ribs in and take the elbows back, and find that place in the middle where both those actions can work. Where you're not just focusing on the ribs and the elbows are forward, and you're not just throwing the elbows back and giving up everything else. So ribs back, elbows back. Now, when you go to straighten your arms, take your shoulders down and push the wrists up. The shoulders go down and the wrists go up at the same time. Watch those ribs. Chin parallel to the floor, eyes parallel to the floor. Push through the feet, shoulders down, wrists up. Extend through the whole body. Release the hands, arms out to the side. Tadasana. Interlace the fingers together the opposite way. Left first finger on top. Take the back of your hands on the top of your head. Again, you have to take those ribs in. Start at the feet. Press through those 6 points of the feet. Balls of the big toes, center heels, outer foot bones. Elbows back, but ribs also in. Don't give up the ribs just to do the elbows. Can you do both? Even do them at the same time, right? At the beginning, it's one, then the other, then the other, then the other. Do them at the same time. Now, when you go to straighten the arms, shoulders down as you extend the wrists up. Shoulders down, wrists up. Shoulders down, wrists up. Then the arm straightens. Now, maintain the shoulders down, wrists up. Press through the feet and open the armpits any amount. Don't just take the hands back, but think of it as an opening of the armpits. And release your arms out to the sides. Come down. Tadasana. Let's open up the shoulders a little bit more. So take your strap. We've been doing this for a few. Take your strap, of course. This works just as well. Take your strap. The amount your hands are apart depends on your shoulders. Okay? Let me step back. So I have the strap here. The arms are up. I'm going to show you here. There, now you can see. Right? You know, the strap looks to be blending with the background. So here. There. So, right, if you need to be further apart, be further apart. It's your shoulders. Now watch those ribs. Take the ribs in. And first, take the arms straight up, wide, not Urdhva Hastasana where they're, well, Urdhva Hastasana ultimately is hands together, right? But not even shoulder distance apart. Take them wider. And push up and pull away. Push up and pull away. You really get that opening. Now watch those front ribs. Draw the front ribs in. And let's begin to lubricate. So the strap falls behind you. Strap comes in front of you. Don't bend the elbows to do it. Better to take your arms further apart. So keep the arms straight if possible. Of course, it's your body. You have to do what's right. But see if you can begin to lubricate the shoulder joint. You want your arms to move evenly. So don't have one arm moving further back than the other. Can you find a sense of evenness the way the two arms are working? And since for many of us, it's like these two arms are a part of different bodies, you really have to work on getting them closer to even. This is something you can easily do every morning. So beneficial. And then we'll do one more. When you come up, I want you to stop. You'll go back slightly and stop at that place where your armpits feel most open. And just feel that openness of the armpits. Extend outward through the strap. Watch those ribs. Ribs stay in. And then let it fall. And come up. And in front of you. Put your strap down. And let's just do Urdhva Hastasana and Badanguliasana again, just to see the difference. So from Tadasana, push through the feet. Get the legs, outer knees to outer hips, compact the hips, lengthen the inner groins. Push up with your armpits. Don't just take the hands up. Watch those ribs. Rotate from the armpits, rotate the arms up. Watch the ribs. From the armpits, push the arms up. There's the chandelier. Let me walk forward. Turn your hands out to the side. Exhale, come down. Just checking out the differences. Interlace your fingers together. Take the hands on the back of your head. Ribs in, elbows back. Ribs in, elbows back. Push through the feet. Shoulders down as the wrists go up. What's changed? And again, not focusing on better or worse. Just focusing on what's different. For me, my armpits are just so much more open. There's more space for the breath. I can breathe more here. I'm not struggling. Now that's my story. What's your story? What's your experience, your feeling? Release your hands out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Other side, and place the fingers the other way. Back of the hands on the back of the head. Ribs in, elbows back. Press through the feet. Shoulders down as the wrists go up. Right? It's important to notice the effects of poses. When you notice the effects, that's what makes you want to do these more. The more yoga you do, the better off you are, the more joyful you become. But if you're just not noticing, if you're just doing the poses for the sake of poses, it makes it harder to keep the practice up. And release your arms out to the sides. Exhale, come down. Garudasana. We've been doing this one too, so let's keep going with it. Right elbow on top of left elbow. Cross your forearms, take your palms together. Watch those ribs, push through the feet. Now, upper arms parallel to the floor. Take your forearms perpendicular to the floor and rotate your wrists so the knife edge of your hand faces forward. Now, if crossing the forearms is difficult, then you just take one arm, right? Take a straight arm, the other arm comes across, and you just draw it down. And you keep moving the shoulder down, drawing the upper arm towards you, keep the shoulder down. So that's what you do if the forearms aren't crossing. If the forearms are crossed, take the elbows into each other. So squeeze the elbows towards each other. Move the shoulders away from each other and broaden across the top of the back. The shoulder blades moving away from each other. And releasing, left elbow on top of right, cross the forearms, or of course, just take your left arm and straight in front of you, take your other arm, pull the arm towards you, shoulder down, or forearms cross the forearms. If you're crossing the forearms, upper arms parallel to the floor, forearms perpendicular to the floor. Rotate the wrist so the knife edge of your hand points forward. And then those actions, elbows squeezing towards each other, shoulders moving away from each other, broadening across the top of the back and between the shoulder blades. Allow the breath to fill the top lungs. Don't force a deep breath. That's something different. But can you allow the breath to really fill those top back lungs? And release. Looks like, I don't know if you can hear that. Looks like Mateo set an Alexa alarm. Alexa, stop. There you go. Tadasana, check in with yourself. All right, come onto your knees. I don't teach this pose. I have taught it before. I don't teach it all that often. You don't have to. You may want some padding for your knees. Parigasana, gate latch pose. So you can take a blanket underneath your knees. If you don't have one, it's totally fine. When I practice on my own, I usually don't use a blanket. But I tend to be kinder when I teach others. So if you want a blanket, that's fine. Start with your hands on your hips. I'll show you from the side for a moment. So the calves and feet are going straight back. So don't have the feet turned in or turned out, but straight back. And we'll go to the right first. So first take your right leg and line your heel up. So you're bending your right leg, line your heel up with your knee. Now the first thing to happen is we sink a little bit, right? So you still need to lift the outer knee to the outer hip. Yes, I'm lengthening the groin as well. And keep that nice and secure. This, I'm going to call this the front leg. The bent one is now the front leg. Take that hip in, right? So you don't want this knee to come forward, hip out. So the hip goes in. Karen, replacement hip, you obviously have to listen to your body here, okay? Your hip doesn't do what everyone else does. Then drag your heel to straighten your leg, okay? So your bottom leg is bent, toes facing back, and then that front leg, I'm calling this the front leg, your right leg, the front leg is straight. Now extend the arms, drop the shoulders. Here, let's do it again. Take your arms on your hips. Now, take your arms like Tadasana, and from your armpits, extend the arms up, okay? There, now we have more space in the shoulders. Now you're resisting with your left arm. Inhale, exhale, take your right hand down. Right hand down. And then you slide your right hand towards your ankle. Just slide the right hand towards the ankle. And then you turn the top arm to face your ear and extend that arm overhead, extending that whole left side of the body. Turn your torso. So don't turn your torso to the ground, turn your torso towards the ceiling and gaze at your armpit. And then reach through the arm, pull yourself up, hands on hips, bend your leg first, and then take it back. Let's do the other side. The heel is in line with the knee, and drag the heel to straighten it. But you have to lift this outer knee to outer hip. You have to make this bent leg, right? That's the base of the pose. That needs to be nice and firm. Take your arms into Tadasana. From your armpits, push them up. Resist with the right arm. Inhale, exhale, take your left arm down. And then slowly slide down. Slide down. And try, as you slide down, try to extend from the hip to the armpit. Don't just collapse there, but you want to get as much extension as you can. And then you rotate the top arm, lean back, and extend that arm over your ear, gazing into your armpit. Press through the shin of the bent leg, lift the outer knee to the outer hip, and continue that lengthening all the way through the fingertips. And then reach through the arm, pull yourself up. Hands on hips. Bend the leg. Take it back. All right, so watch for a second. We will do it again, but I want to show you a couple things here. So one is this leg, which I was talking about, the bent leg. You push through the shin, and you really have to lift the outer knee to the outer hip. So watch. If I'm here and I come down, this tends to fall forward. This back leg tends to fall forward. Of course, when I do that, then the front leg hip goes back. When I lift, I'm going to work the leg, but watch what happens with the torso. I'm going to lift the outer knee to the outer hip. See how open I got? So here's where I was. This is just me doing the pose. But now I'm going to work that outer knee to outer hip, that back leg. My whole torso turned. My head is up now. Now, yeah, I can bring this front leg. The front thigh does turn out, outer knee to outer hip. And the hip comes forward. And now I'm just so much more open. But it came from the leg. All right? So that's what I want you to focus on. So hands on hips.
Jonathan,
Yes.
my hip is going that way, bending leg side. Hips are parallel. Hips moving little bit. Okay, I'll show you.
Say it again. I couldn't quite understand.
My hips are moving. If I do like this, this hip is going this side.
No. So here's what Chaya is showing. She's doing this.
Yeah.
See that? So still outer knee to outer hip, draw it in. Do you see
Okay.
what happens to the torso when I do that?
Okay, I got it.
Right?
Yeah.
So hip over knee the whole time. And you can see even for me. So you might see my foot sneaking out through the side there. No, go back. One straight line. Don't have that sticking out. All right? Thank you, Chaya. So knee out to the right and do that work. So press through the shin, lift the outer knee to the outer hip and really suck that in. Squeeze that there. Don't lose that under any circumstance. Drag the front heel, straighten the leg. Did you lose it at all? Get it back. Outer knee to outer hip. Draw that in. Suck that in. Suck the femur bone into the hip socket. Don't let it sink forward. Don't let it, what Chai was showing, move it out to the side. Turn that front thigh, that's outer knee to outer hip too, but that back leg, we have to keep nice and strong. Now, extend the arms. Inhale, exhale, take the right hand down. Then take your left hand on your hip. What happened to that back leg? Outer knee to outer hip. I lost it, at least some of it. Outer knee to outer hip, there. Now my torso is nice and open. Now you can still turn the torso, so right ribs forward, left ribs back. The head begins to look up. Hand is still on your hip. Slide your right hand down, but don't let the torso turn. Don't lose the hip as you slide your hand down. Don't let the torso turn. If your torso starts to turn, then that's enough for today. You don't have to take, ultimately you're all the way down at your foot. But you can be on your shin. I'm still on my shin here. Then extend the arm up, rotate it. Now the arm goes behind your ear. Push into your shin of the bent leg, outer knee to outer hip, and then extend through that whole left side of the body. Observe your pose, observe the observer, and pull yourself up and out. Hands on your hips, bend your leg, come to center, check in with yourself. If anyone else has any questions, unmute yourself. There's also a button there somewhere you can raise your hand. And if you do that, then it notifies me. All right, second side. Left leg up. As soon as I do that, my hip falls out, just like Chai was talking about. My hip begins to fall out, so I have to lift outer knee to outer hip. It helps to press the shin bone down. Then drag that heel, straighten the leg. I lose this back leg again. Outer knee to outer hip, really suck the femur bone right into the hip socket. Do turn the front thigh out. Do draw the front outer knee to outer hip, but I want you to really focus on that back leg. Push the shin down, lift and grip that hip socket. Extend the arms. Pay attention to that back leg, especially the back hip. Inhale, exhale, the hand goes down. Take the right hand on the hip. So I lost it again. My hip is not right on top of my knee. I have to lift the outer knee to the outer hip. There, now my whole torso opened. Then maintain that. So maintain the outer knee to the outer hip. Maintain that turn of the torso and slide your hand down to whatever is optimal for you today. Don't let that front hip move back. So the front hip does still draw in. The back leg, outer knee to outer hip. Then extend the arm up, rotate it, and extend over your ear. Observe your pose. Observe the observer. Reach through the arm, pull yourself up and out. Hands on hips. Bend your leg. Come back to center. All right, come up to standing. I like to do that pose as a companion because there are many similar actions to Utthita Parshva Konasana, extended side angle pose. So from Tadasana, fingertips up, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. Take the wide stance with your feet below your hands. And notice here, we took our arms up a different way, but can you hold up your arms from your armpits, not your shoulders? I want you to get into the habit of holding your arms up from underneath, from the armpits, not the shoulders. Now from the midline, extend out. The midline, the front and back, so the center of the sternum between the shoulder blades extend outward. Of course, the legs, in evenness, even weight on the feet, thighs back, lengthening from the inner knees through the lower abdomen, from the outer knees to the outer hips. Front bottom ribs into the body. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Take your front heel in line with your back arch, press the back heel, turn that front thigh, lift the outer knees to the outer hips. Then inhale, exhale, bend the leg. Then when you come down, you can take your forearm on your thigh. You can also, I probably should have asked you to take a block. If you want a block by your side, you can come on and take a block if you want. A block or a chair is fine too. Extend that arm up, then push it. If you have a block, I want you to push into the block. Don't fall into it, but push into the block. If your forearm is on your thigh, then push into the thigh to open. Push into the thigh to open. Push into the block to open. Then rotate the arm and extend your arm over your ear. So we're again extending that whole left side of the body. Reaching through your arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Over to the other side. Right foot and left leg out. If you have a block, move it to the other side. Nothing wrong with taking your forearm on your shin. The first classes I used to teach were in a park. We did not have all these props. We didn't have blocks. We weren't carrying all these things. So we had to figure out how to do these poses without props. Press the back heel, turn the front thigh, lift both outer knees to outer hips. Compact those hips together. Keep pressing the back heel, exhale, bend the leg. Inhale, exhale, either forearm down or hand on the block. But either way, if your forearm's down, push down to lift up. If your hand's on the block, don't fall onto the block, but push into the block. Then rotate the arm and extend your arm overhead. Torso turning towards the ceiling. Observing your pose. And reaching through the arm, pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. So again, watch for a moment. The same thing happens in this pose as in Parigasana, which is that even though the back leg is straight, this hip falls forward. So we need to draw the outer knee to the outer hip and take the thigh back. Right? So instead of being here, because then when we come down, we begin to collapse. If this back thigh is forward, we collapse. So we need to draw the outer knee to the outer hip. Do you see what happens? I'm just working the legs. I'm not working the torso, even though you'll see it turn. Outer knee to the outer hip, and I'm taking the thigh back. And that rotates the torso. From there, I can do a little bit more. Of course, if your forearm is on the thigh, it's the same thing. Now, with the front side, we have a tendency, especially if you're using a block, to just fall into it. So just as we're lifting here, I want you to push and lift here. So notice the pushing into the block and lifting action, or pushing into the thigh, that lifting action I get, okay? So that the torso doesn't collapse. All right, your turn. So from Tadasana, fingertips up, jump or step. Establish yourself here. Don't race to get into the pose. So where are you here? Are you balanced evenly on your feet? Are you drawing your outer knees to your outer hips? Because that's going to build memory for the rest of the pose. Are you lengthening from the inner knees all the way up through the groins to the abdomen? And are you holding your arms up from your armpits, front bottom ribs into the body? Check in with that first. Then we continue. Left foot in, right leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. Now start here. So that back leg, press the heel. There's a lifting from the outer knee to the outer hip as the thigh goes back. Unite those actions. The front thigh still has to turn out. The front thigh does draw from the outer knee to the outer hip, but I want you to really become aware of that back leg. Maintain the back leg. Inhale. So lift from the outer knee to the outer hip. Draw that femur bone to the hip socket of the back leg, even as you bend your front leg. That's it. Then exhale, forearm on your thigh, hand on the block. You're welcome to take it on the floor if you have that flexibility. Take your left hand on your hip. Reestablish the back leg. Outer knee to outer hip and the thigh back at the same time. Do press the back heel. Maintain that. Push into either your thigh with your forearm or the block with your hand or the floor with your hand if you're on the floor. Turn the torso. Maintain that. Draw the back leg outer knee to the outer hip. Don't lose that. Extend the arm up, rotate it, and take that arm in line or behind your ear, not in front of it. Extend through that whole left side of your body. Breathe. Pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Hands on hips. Take a breath. Now if you're using a block, goes to the other side. Extend the arms. Hold your arms up from your armpits. Reestablish yourself. Balance evenly on the feet. Outer knees to outer hips. Get that here. Lengthen through the inner thighs. Ribs in. And right foot in, left leg out. Front heel in line with your back arch. So again, this back leg, lift from the outer knee to the outer hip. You can take your hands on your hips if you need to. Lift that outer knee to the outer hip and take the thigh back. And notice how that changes, that turns your torso. Of course, turn the front thigh out still. Outer knee to the outer hip on the front leg as well. Then extend the arms. Pay attention to that back leg. Don't lose that grip of the back hip socket even as you're bending your front leg. Stay in the back leg. Awareness in the back leg, awareness in the back leg. Keep it in the back leg. Exhale, come down. Either hand on the block or forearm on your thigh. Hand on your hip. Now reestablish the back leg. Lift the outer knee to the outer hip as you take the thigh back. Unite those actions and do press the back heel. Then the front, keep that, and then push into that hand or the forearm so that the chest lifts and rotates so that you're not sinking into the floor. We want to lift up away from the floor. And then maintaining that, especially that back leg. Outer knee to outer hip, extend the arm up, rotate the arm, bring it over or behind your ear. Extend through that whole left side of the body. Breathe. Of course, breathe is such a horrible instruction. Just don't stop breathing. Allow yourself to breathe. That's much better than forcing a breath. Just allow the breath to breathe you. And pull yourself up and out. Parallel your feet. Jump or step your feet together. Tadasana. Arms out to the sides. Push them up with your armpits. Urdhva Hastasana. Moving towards Urdhva Hastasana. Rotate the arms up from your armpits, ribs in. Push your arms up. Now the two sides with a sense of evenness. How is this pose different? This is where we started. What's different in the side ribs? What's different in the mind? What's different in the breath? Turn your arms out to the sides. Exhale, come down. All right, Virabhadrasana 1. Warrior pose 1. So fingertips up by your chest, bend your legs, jump or step your feet apart. We'll start with hands on hips. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Lift up your back heel and turn the hips. So square your hips towards the side of the room now. So the hips are squared towards the side of the room. The torso is squared towards the side of the room. You press your back heel down. If the heel doesn't go, take a little blanket. right? That's fine. You can take a blanket under the heel. There's nothing wrong with that. Just raise the floor a little bit. Outer knees to outer hips. Compact those hips together. So that same action, especially that back leg, you have to draw the outer knee to the outer hip. And as you do, that back thigh goes back so you can press the back heel. Do not just press the shin bone back. Do not just jam the knee back. It's a straight leg, but there's not a jamming of the knee. Now inhale, keep the chest lifted. As you exhale, you'll bend your front leg. But keep that back outer knee to outer hip. Keep that back leg nice and secure. That left hip comes forward. Take the front bottom ribs towards the back body. Lengthen to the side ribs. Then extend your arms forward, arms up. Then reach through the arms, push into the front leg to straighten it. Or I should have said push into the front foot to straighten the leg. Parallel your feet, hands out to the sides, hands on your hips. Right foot in, left leg out. Pick up your back heel, square those hips, take the heel back down. Sometimes it doesn't work out the first time. So you do it again, you pick up the back heel, square the hips, take the heel back down. The back thigh turns in, front thigh turns out. Both outer knees to outer hips. Now, especially that back leg we've been working on, outer knee to outer hip. Unite that with the action of the thigh moving back to press the back heel. Watch these ribs puffing forward. Take the front bottom ribs towards the back body. The back ribs do move towards the front body, the bottom back ribs. Inhale, exhale, bend your leg. Sometimes I don't give myself enough space here, so I have to adjust. The knees over the ankle, thigh parallel to the floor. Take that right hip forward. Draw the right outer knee to the outer hip. Lift, get that lifting action so the thigh can move back. And draw the ribs into the body. Lift the chest, arms forward, arms up. Keep pressing the back heel, back outer knee to outer hip. That will help lift the chest and side ribs. Let the breath breathe you. And then reach through the arms, push into the front heel to straighten the leg. Parallel your feet, arms out to the side. Jump or step your feet together. Now remember, Virabhadrasana, warrior pose. The warrior is not to conquer anything outside of you. It's to conquer the monkey mind that bounces around from thought to thought, to bring your awareness inward. So we're going to do the pose again. We're going to do it on a chair. So I want you to take a chair, bring it onto your mat. Take your right foot on the chair. Then you have to hop your left leg back a little bit. And then you won't have this total square of an angle here because your leg is lifted, but take your knee over your heel and square those hips. So it's not way back here, but that left hip does come forward. Outer knees to outer hips, especially that back leg. Do press, can you learn to press that back thigh back without just pressing the knee back? And then press into the heel. And as you do that, as you lift the outer knee to the outer hip, compact it, really both legs, but we've been working on this back leg, outer knees to outer hip, compact both hips together. Can you draw the flesh of the front back thigh right up into your chest? You switch legs so you can just see that a little bit better if you're looking. So the flesh of the front back leg moves right up into your chest, right? This is the back leg. This is the front of the back leg. And that lifts into your chest. But you have to get that outer knee to outer hip also. And then there's a lifting. So again, instead of just falling into the ground during these standing poses, giving into gravity, there's this lifting action that takes place. Draw the front ribs into the chest. Then extend the arms forward, arms up. Let the breath breathe you. And then taking your arms down, hands on your hips, lift again through that back leg. Allow your leg to do most of the work to lift the chest. So the actual lift of the chest is minimal because all the work's in the leg. And coming out, begin to straighten that front leg, feet together. We'll go to do the other side, and then we're going to do the same thing back on the floor. So if any of this doesn't make sense, now's the time to unmute yourself or raise your hand so we can address it. Switch legs. Square those hips. So back leg. So the front leg, you want your knee over your heel. The back thigh turns in. Strong, outer knee to outer hip. Really grip that hip socket. And then that lengthening from the front of the back thigh, the flesh of the front of the back leg draws right up into your chest. And there's a big opening right in this area where the psoas is. Right in that area, there's this nice big opening. Maintain that. It's still front outer knee to outer hip as well. Draw the ribs in. Keep the legs though. Let the legs do most of the work. Then you just float your arms up. Observe the pose and let the breath breathe you. And then arms down. Push off with your leg. Tadasana. Check in with yourself. Now we use the chair as a teacher. So let's see what we can maintain. So that's fine. Just start off facing the right side of your mat. Right foot forward, left leg back. Right? So it's the same as we separated our feet and turned. Square the hips. Turn that back thigh in. So start here, back leg, outer knee to outer hip. Front of the back thigh, draw that flesh right up into your chest. Can you really open that area where the psoas is, or in front of the psoas? The psoas is deep in the body. And maintain that lifting. You're going to bend the front leg, but can you maintain that lifting? Not just of the torso, but the whole leg lifting up to lift the torso, and then bend the leg. Comes from the back leg. Get it again. Turn that back thigh in, back outer knee to outer hip. Don't take it in the knee. The flesh of the front of the back thigh right up into your chest. That's what lifts the chest. Watch the ribs. The ribs come into the body. And then yes, the front leg is also outer knee to outer hip. Lengthen the groins, release the groins. Arms forward, arms up. Reach through the arms, straighten the leg, parallel the feet, hands on hips. Take the legs together. Turn to face the same way, and then just switch legs. So we're trying to start with the hips squared. Back leg, turn the thigh in. Back leg, lift the outer knee to the outer hip. As the thigh goes back, that action also helps you press the back heel. And then that lengthening from the front of the back thigh, take that flesh, lengthen it right up into your chest. But it's not just a lifting of the chest, that is there, but it's from the legs that that lifting takes place. Now maintain all that awareness in your back leg. Keep 90% of the awareness on your back leg, especially that lifting, outer knee to outer hip, and that flesh of the front of the back thigh. Maintain that, and then go to bend the front leg. But don't lose the back leg. Don't lose the back leg. Maintain that. And whatever you lost, reestablish. Turn the thigh in, outer knee to outer hip, that flesh of the front of the back thigh lifting up into your chest. Keep those front ribs in, arms forward, arms up. Reach up through the arms, straighten your leg. Parallel your feet, arms out to the side. Now my back is to you. Step your feet together. All right, we're doing it one more time. Now we're doing really the traditional pose, the way it's taught. Fingertips up. Bend your legs. Jump or step your feet apart. So the arms go up first. From your armpits, rotate your arms up. From your armpits, push your arms up, drop the shoulders down as the arms go up. So now you don't have your hands to help you with the hips and the legs. Turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out. Pick up your back heel, take that hip forward, left hip forward, place the heel down. So now you have to do all those actions of the legs, especially the back leg, outer knee to outer hip as the thigh goes back, the flesh of the front of the back thigh coming right up into your chest. As I do that, my head just winds up, looking up. You don't have to look up, it depends on your body. But when you really get that, you get that lift to the side ribs and the head wants to go up. Now maintain the awareness of the back leg. Reach up with your arms. Keep your torso up. Nothing falls. Bend the front leg. Lifting through the back leg. Lifting through the arms. Virabhadrasana 1. Observe your pose. Let the breath breathe you. Reach up through your arms. Straighten your leg. Parallel your feet. If you're able to keep your arms up, if you have to take them down, take them down. Right foot and left leg out. We're not keeping it long. Back thigh turning in. Outer knee to outer hip. Really secure that outer hip socket. Take the flesh of the front of the back thigh right up into your chest to lift up. Now maintain that back leg. Reach up with your arms. The arms keep the torso up. Don't let the torso fall. Don't let the back leg give up. Bend the front leg. All of it stays. Regain what you lost in the back leg or in the torso. Then reach through your arms, straighten your leg, parallel your feet, arms out to the side. Jump or step your feet together. Well done, that's a journey. We did a journey of Virabhadrasana 1. Checking in with your body, checking in with your mind, checking in with your breath. Downward facing dog. Come onto your hands and knees, or use your chair if you want to use your chair. Press down to the ball of the first finger and thumb, rotate the upper arms out. Push into the floor to lengthen the arms, to lift your chest up off your wrists. Turn your toes under, straighten your legs. Pushing into the floor, inhale, exhale, thighs back. Chest towards your thighs, sit bones high. Now bend your legs slightly, lift your hips up. Keep the hips up, and then press those thighs back, not just the knees, but the thighs, and lift the outer knees to your outer hips as you do so. As you seek to take the heels down towards the floor, lift the outer hips up. Lift the outer hips up. Lengthen from the inner thighs, from the inner knees, up through the lower abdomen. Breathe. Let your skull release. Then bend your legs, take your knees to the floor, feet together, knees apart. Adho Mukha Virasana, child's pose. Rest your head either on the floor or you take a lift. And check in with yourself. Take your hands underneath your shoulders and push to come up. Go get your chair. Have your chair so that the back of your chair faces the front, and then you're going to sit side straddle in the chair. So your right shoulder is facing the back of the chair. And then you're facing the side of the room. Square the knees with the hips, and then heels underneath your knees. Draw the front ribs in, lift up through the side ribs. Extend the arms forward and up. Push through the sit bones, extend through those side ribs. We've really done some length in those side ribs today. Turn your hands out to the sides. Exhale, come down. From the midline, extend out through the arms, front and back. Inhale, exhale. Don't turn the head, but turn the torso and take holds of the sides of the chair. Drop your shoulders. Keep your elbows up. So not down if you're looking at the screen, not the elbows down, but the elbows up like this. So the elbows come up and the shoulders go down. Elbows up, shoulders down. And then pull with your left hand, push with your right hand. So inhale, on your inhalation, there's a lifting up. And on your exhalation, pull with the left, push with the right, and turn. Each inhalation, you lift and extend. Each exhalation, you keep that lift and extension and you turn. Inhale, lifting, maintain the lift. Exhale, come to center. And then you can just turn on the chair and turn the other way. Extend your arms forward, arms up. Push through the sit bones, extend through the arms. So there's that lengthening in the side ribs. And you can do it all in one, but maybe you can separate it so you're really lengthening from the waist to the ribs, then between each set of ribs. It's different. It's a different type of lengthening and extension. And again, I'm not saying better or worse, but can you notice the difference? Hands out to the side, maintain the lift as the arms come down. Drop the shoulders, arms held up by your armpits. Inhale, lifting more. Exhale, turn. Elbows up, eyes gaze forward, shoulders down. Elbows up, shoulders down. Inhale, lifting, pull with the right, push with the left, turn. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, turning. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, turning. Let the breath breathe you. Don't force your breath in these twists. Let the breath breathe you. Inhale, lift. Exhale, maintain the lift and come to center. Turn around on the chair. So this time when you do the turns, I want you, right, so we've been lifting, inhale, lifting, exhale, turning. This time when you inhale, lift, then I want you to exhale completely and then turn. Okay, so empty out the lungs, empty out the torso from breath, and then you'll turn. So arms forward and up, get the length. Arms up to the side, get the width. Inhale, lifting. Exhale completely. Take hold. Elbows up, shoulders down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale completely first. Turn. Inhale, lifting. Exhale completely. Turn. One more time. Inhale, lifting. Exhale completely. Turn. Let the breath breathe you. Maintain the lift. On your next exhalation, come to center. Turn around. Arms forward, arms up. Get the length. Turn your hands out to the side. Inhale, exhale, get the width. Inhale, exhale completely. Maintain the lift. Take hold of the chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale completely. Turn. Elbows up, shoulders down. Inhale, lift. Exhale completely. Turn. Elbows up, shoulders down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale completely. Turn. Elbows up, shoulders down. Let the breath breathe you. Exhale, come to center. Come up, move the chair. One last downward facing dog, just to even things out. Make the body symmetrical again. It can be on the chair or on the floor. Press into the ball of the first finger and thumb. Rotate the upper arms out. Push into the floor. Toes under. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, come to your downward facing dog. Heels down, hips up. Straighten the arms, straighten the legs. What instruction do you need that I'm not giving you? Can you make this your pose? And bend your legs. If your hands are on the chair, just walk forward into Tadasana. Otherwise, bend your legs. One last child's pose. Take a couple breaths. Let the breath breathe you. Take your hands underneath your shoulders. Push to come up. Take a blanket under your head. I use this folded blanket. For most, this flat blanket is actually best, but some of us need a little bit more support for our neck. So take whatever support you need. Of course, if you'll need something, if you have irritation in your back, you either roll a couple blankets or towels up underneath your knees, or you can also take your calves on a chair, right? So you can always, if your back hurts, you just take your calves on a chair like this, and that's a wonderful way to release the back. But before you fully settle in, just give yourself a hug here. Draw your thighs into your torso. Thighs together if they go together, but every body is different. Say something kind to yourself. Honor the goodness inside of you. Honor that true splendor inside of you. On your inhalation, let your feet go to the floor. Scoot the flesh of your heels towards your buttocks. And then if you're staying on the floor, you straighten your legs one at a time. If you're getting the chair or rolling something up underneath your knees, then take what you need. Then take your arms out to the sides at 30-degree angles to your body. Let go. Let go. The easy work is done. Now the hard work begins of allowing yourself to be still. Of allowing yourself to become the observer. Fully the observer, because there is no doing. There can be an allowing. Sometimes we say, let go in the arms and release in these descriptions, but in reality, we can't release. All we can do is stop gripping and allow the body to release itself. So can you get out of the way, out of your own way, and let the arms and legs release? They'll do it on their own if you allow them. Can you get out of the way and allow the torso to release? Let the skull release, all of the facial features, allowing them to let go. And instead of breathing, allowing the breath to breathe you. Surrendering completely to the breath. Trusting that the breath, in its infinite wisdom, knows exactly how much breath to put in you, where it should go, and allow it to do the work. You don't need to do anything. Simply allow yourself to be the receptacle and allow the breath to breathe you. Now the mind at this point begins to do its judging. I like this, I don't like this. This is better than yesterday. Yesterday was better. Now you can't force yourself away from non-judgment, but you can encourage yourself, instead of comparison to yesterday or tomorrow, simply noticing, even with curiosity, you can notice the differences. And can you do that instead of with judgment, with a childlike curiosity? How interesting, the differences that I notice. And then perhaps taking one further step back and allowing the observer, the seer, to observe the observer. Shavasana. Allow the breath to become deeper. Allow the exhalation to become longer. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Bend your legs, place your feet on the floor with your knees together, feet apart. Take your hands onto your abdomen or onto your chest. When you feel ready, extend your right arm past your right ear, roll to the right. If the left side is easier, roll to the left. When you feel ready, take your top hand, place it on the floor in front of your heart, turn your torso towards the floor. Use your top hand, your right elbow, your opposite elbow, push to come up. Come up to sit in. Whatever way is comfortable, cross-legged is fine. If you want to sit on your calves, that's fine. If you want to sit on a chair, that's fine. Bring your palms together at your chest. Close your eyes, rest your eyes into your cheekbones. Take a moment to observe your practice, not what's good and bad, what's different. Perhaps taking a moment to observe the observer. And let's close our practice together by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Om. Gently let your eyelids open. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Wonderful to see you all.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. It was
Oh, you're very welcome. We're so
you.
grateful for all of you. So grateful for every one of you, truly.
Thank you,
As we are
Jonathan.
for you.
And don't forget, so tomorrow we're doing a community Zoom gathering at 12 o'clock. Just for us to see each other and connect. That's it. So if
Cool.
you make it, come on. We can say hello to each other. Yeah. So I hope to see you tomorrow. If you have any questions, let me know. And love you all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
bye.